Hey guys, how's it going? It's X666X Iron Maiden. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be checking out some of the reactors, basically the reactors from the React pages. And it's going to be their first time listening to metal, which is featuring Metallica, Slipknot, Pantera, and others. Alright, so how much truth there is behind this, I'm not sure. I know the main React channel that maybe you guys have heard of, it's just called React. I'm sure a bunch of you have heard of it. It's basically the people that made it popular, were part of that movement, I should say. It might not be the first, but they definitely had pushed it to limits, of course. This is from the FBE2 page, and it's first time listening to metal. Now, I'm not sure if every single person here is going to be their first time listening to metal. Somehow, I have to think that not all these people have not heard some of the songs, especially when they're naming bands like Metallica being one of the features. What song would they have to play from Metallica to make it so that you've never heard it? Because it's a huge band. So it's a little bit of a longer one, clocking in at just over 14 minutes. So let's jump in and check it out.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sharing Buds. This is a little music show that we do here where we listen to music, make connections through music. It's a great time out here, but there's a little bit of a twist. I have songs for my guests that they don't know, my guests have songs that I don't know, and we have picks from the audience that neither of us know. Today's genre, though, is metal music. And this is the first genre that I don't really know a whole lot about, so I did some research, but we brought on three metalheads, our beautiful guests that are here to educate me. So we got Rafi, we have Benny, we have Adam. We also have a Spotify link in the description.
Okay, that makes more sense then. I was going to say, some of these guys listen to metal from that channel, and I knew they did.
We're going to bring it.
And I wasn't sure if they're going to pick others.
Let's get into the audience picks then. First one.
Oh,
here's the thing.
Oh, this sounds like, I know this song.
This is easiest riff of all time, but one of the most powerful riffs. This is just the anthem of metal in so many ways for people.
This is like the Pantera song that people who don't know a lot about Pantera will know this song.
God, his vocals are so intense. Come on, Tony.
Spec!
Yes!
I think a lot of people's music love sometimes comes from the lyrics.
Wearing a Deftones shirt,
I found
that's sweet.
For me, that's not the case with metal. Sometimes, sure, there's obviously great, amazing things being said, but for metal, to me, the voice is another instrument, and is the way I always view it. So it's less about what it's saying, and sometimes it's about dark stuff, but that's not what I'm getting out of it, unless in my angsty teenage years I got a lot out of the lyrics. Now I just like the sound of it juxtaposed with the music.
You don't have to ever go into the mosh. There's only been a couple times I've ended up being like, oh my god, the mosh is so big.
Oh, they're even chatting about it too.
Yeah.
And the Korn was the craziest mosh that me and Benny, we both ever experienced. We got
in the Final Fantasy shirt too.
And then it just was nuts. And we got out of there, and then people were just coming out like a dust cloud coming back out of the crowd. And people were just bleeding and holding stuff, and it was just this is not cool.
That's Slipknot.
Well, it sounds like Slipknot, actually. And now I'm getting the nod that it is Slipknot.
It is Slipknot.
There you go. So even though I don't know this song that well, I was able to recognize that it was Slipknot.
I've seen them live.
You have?
Yeah,
okay.
Honestly, this was one of the most intense concerts I've ever been to.
Holy crap.
They're pretty sweet live.
That
Hey, Awesome Team HD. Thanks for the subscription there, bud.
Okay, that's cool.
No, Slipknot
it's definitely one of those ones where
was not at Heavy Montreal expecting to be as hyped as I was for Slipknot, but once they started playing, man.
The math and the play of we're gonna do these little things,
and
then it's gonna build. Which is why metal's very EDM-like.
Okay.
And a lot of times, even right there, it's leading to a drop. And it's a very similar song structure to EDM, if you think about it.
I'm more of a fan of Slipknot than Pantera, but I don't know all of their music. But I'm a pretty big fan. I love Corey Taylor and Slipknot, and their live performance is amazing. Have you seen any live performance of them?
No.
They're mad, dude. It's insane. There's 7 or 8 guys on stage because they have 2 guitar players, a bassist, and a drummer. But then they have a dude
who does like DJ disc scratching, and they have a guy who plays timpani. They have like all these different things. Yes! Oh yes! Avenged Sevenfold. This is the
No,
band
I didn't
that
know
got
who
me
it
into
was
metal
anymore.
music.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like the guitar. Are they gonna scream or are they gonna sing? That becomes the question.
Oh, once the lyrics came in, I knew what it was.
Metallica. The Metallica sounding guy, Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh,
You know, it's so-
I've heard of that.
So I haven't listened to Avenged Sevenfold that much. People, this was their hit from the last album.
Little known fact, I was actually in an Avenged Sevenfold tribute band.
Oh.
When I was
Really?
12.
Okay, so this is huge then.
Oh yeah, I love A7X, dude. They're so good.
As much as I like Avenged Sevenfold, they just don't cross into my actual like type of band that I like, and it's gonna sound weird because I like their structure, but the music still to me.
I like this guy.
In like 7th grade, I was into like.
He kind of talks about the music like I would.
82, and I did not like any screamo. And then my brother tried to get me into it by showing me this really gnarly song, and I was like, it just completely put me off. I was like, this is not good. And then Sydney was like, check out Avenged Sevenfold, and I was like, this is really good. I like this a lot.
Okay, so now Rafi, we're gonna get into your pick.
Oh, great.
Tool. Why am I not surprised that he chose Tool just by the way he looks? Because he looks chill.
And that's also, it's so great. You don't really have to know how to dance or anything. It's
No.
just like everything just goes into that head. To breathe, to feel, to know and know why.
Rafi, I like seeing you in your element. I like the mix of like the vocals between the filtered voice, but then also going straight into the screaming, so it's that back and forth,
Yeah.
which I like.
They're very much that balance of prog rock. Like they're very influenced by like King Crimson and early prog rock stuff. And so their songs are the type that are, it's a mathematical equation, a lot of them, where you're just like, how does this match up to that and go to this? And even some of their like progressions and some of the
They're not
beats
that
they make
complex.
are like, wait, that's not like
Great band, but
something that you understand when you first listen
he
to
kind
it.
of makes it sound like it's really
That was weird.
complex.
I didn't
Some
understand
songs
it.
maybe,
It's
but
key or
they're
it's
definitely not top of the line,
just on another level.
top of the list when you're going into complicated
Sounds
songs.
familiar, which I probably have heard it.
Nice choice.
Holy crap!
I think they were using the clip from the Big Four show when they played Am I Evil?
This is really my first exposure to
Okay,
it.
well, this is them taking someone's song and taking it to themselves, but yeah.
So far, I think
Oh,
this is probably
thankfully he
my
mentioned
favorite
it
metal
himself.
song I've heard so
All
far.
right.
Just, I mean, no offense to Rafi's picks, but just because I really like, first of all, I think I liked just Metallica just because of the era they were from too, especially.
Well, you need to go back, like, and if you're interested, like, I can give you, like, okay, here's where you start. Because, again, that song, as Metallica fans would talk about, that's not a Metallica song.
Oh, it's a cover
So
again, yeah.
that's a cover, and even though they're playing it in a Metallica way, if you heard the original version of the song, it's very, very similar. It has that general thing that you can see the influence that this band had on Metallica. And I've listened to a lot of Diamond Head because I heard Metallica's Am I Evil when I was younger. I'm like, this was a cover? Who was Diamond Head? And I listened to tons of Diamond Head.
And
you can
loved it?
Yeah, and you can see fully, oh my god, the influence that they had on not just Metallica, but so many metal bands. Because they were doing stuff like this in the 70s. And people didn't play
Wow.
music like this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
You can see-
Kicks in.
Dude, it's so Beartooth too. It's so like.
He picked Beartooth.
You know.
That's an interesting pick. I was not expecting
I
that.
really feel myself like wanting.
That's one that a lot of you might not know, but I know him
Dude,
just
I
a
know
little
them.
bit. I do have a few of their albums on my computer.
I always think, do their voices hurt after a while?
If you do it wrong.
Okay.
If you
Oh,
do,
if you do it wrong.
like there's a proper way to scream. It sounds counterintuitive, but there's a right way to do it.
Because a lot of the other music I was listening to before, they changed their vocal range. He's pretty much staying at the same scream, which is why I'm like, is he okay?
Yeah, right. No, you can change. There's variation, and it's kind of hard to hear. Oh, it's so good. Damn. I started listening to Beartooth when I saw them live for the first time. In fact, I had no idea who they were.
Oh, so you saw them live and you didn't know who they were?
Well, I was seeing a whole bunch of other bands. Like I was seeing A Day to Remember, Bring Me the Horizon, Of Mice and Men, like all these different huge heavy hitters. And one of the openers was Beartooth, and I was like,
Huge.
Beartooth, dumbass name. And they came on stage, and I was like, wow, that was amazing. They do this thing called head walking, which is like where you literally walk on top of the crowd and the crowd
Oh
holds
my
you
God.
up. And they went on top of the crowd with their guitars and were like headbanging while the crowd was holding them. It was
Oh my
it was
God.
That's pretty
I
sweet.
would not put that much trust in a crowd.
You can for metal.
We're gonna get into my pick.
Oh no.
Look,
I believe in you. I believe in you.
a lot of my metal music's gonna be a lot newer.
Oh, okay.
But I know
Sure. Sure.
Would you consider Marilyn Manson metal?
Yes.
Right? I would consider
I
kind
don't
of
know
like
if you consider
glam
Marilyn Manson
metal
almost anything.
Marilyn Manson is funny to me because he used to freak me out as a kid.
Oh, like he was kind of
Absolutely
like a nightmarish
terrify
kind
me.
of feeling.
Exactly. And
It's
I
cool
think
that she has her
that's why I
own
just got a
picks,
little
too,
bit
for the
older
little
that
bit of
I
metal
really
she
started
knows.
appreciating him.
Right.
Wow, what do you say?
So what do you think when you hear his scream? What do you think? Like, do you feel
I
that?
like it.
What are the feelings that you feel with that scream?
Because I find the song so political, it's
You're
almost
thinking
that
that
like
more.
revolutionary sort of scream.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
that's
yeah.
how I see it.
No, it's another kind of anthem,
Mm-hmm.
good like power song, but has a lot of meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you ask, is that metal?
Nice.
It was like
They really go
yes,
like in depth into it too,
practice, in sound. But I don't know if anybody ever like that's what the brand. It was almost like Marilyn Manson is like just it's a brand to itself.
And it's funny because you mentioned Led Zeppelin, and I chose this because I have questions.
Okay, so this isn't really metal.
But okay, I hear the elements of it, which is
Sure,
why,
which is what we just talked about.
exactly.
And some people consider Zeppelin to be metal-esque, and some people consider them
They have heavy songs, like Kashmir is
But it's
fucking
not.
heavy.
And
Like,
then again, talking about solos.
Mm-hmm.
This
Oh, well,
one.
Jimmy Page,
Ugh.
you can't. Unbelievable. They're not quite a blues band, but they fall more into
Exactly.
that style of music that they evolved. And it wasn't them and some other
there was a
bands
time
that-
where there's a lot of
They
rock
took it
bands
to
that
these
took from
places,
blues, because
like
blues
songs
was
like
super
this,
popular
where
at
it
the
was
time
like,
too,
ooh,
right?
That's different. You can hear the metal elements in here.
In the 70s
Blues had a
and
lot of
80s, I feel
complex
like
playing,
there was a
too,
lot
that a lot of
more
people don't
heavy
realize how
vocals, which is
complex
why
it
I
could
found
be.
Led Zeppelin interesting because they took elements of folk, blues, metal, rock. So it was sort of like you can't pinpoint them.
To me, Zeppelin, Sabbath, there's others. There's even more obscure bands like a band called Blue Cheer. There's certain people that when
Blue
you
Cheer.
listen back, you're like, ooh, like look what was going on. But also around towards the latter half of Zeppelin is where the new wave of British heavy metal started coming out, and so there's so much going on in other places even that end up influencing things. And there's great documentaries you can watch about like metal's origins that talk about a lot of this stuff that I highly recommend.
I mean,
Dude, good choice.
Nice. There's nothing wrong with picking any System of a
I
Down.
love it. I love all the changes throughout this song. System of a Down was my everything for a while.
It's weird how I always find it weird when some people got into System of a Down to a very high degree. They listened to a lot of it, and they never jumped into metal more than that, because System of a Down has so many elements from metal,
I don't know.
from super heavy to proggy elements to chill moments too. Like they have a lot of different elements from a lot of different types of metal. And some people listen to them and don't get into other songs, like other bands, that much.
Of metal music you're into, System of a Down is the collection.
Absolutely.
Everybody loves System of a Down.
System of a Down, oh my god.
It's one of those bands.
I have so many distinct memories of System of a Down because, again, like I get most of my music taste from my dad.
Uh-huh.
So System of a Down, I remember he first showed me Chop Suey, of course.
Yes, that's the
Chop Suey,
everyone.
of course, that was my favorite. I didn't choose that one. I chose Sugar instead, just because it was one of their bonus tracks that I always really liked a lot.
And it's one of those more that's how you know if you're a true fan, if you like Sugar.
I think they're part of the reason why I speed sometimes on the freeway because I like get caught.
Wanna know how I know
You
you're
just get in
the true fan? As long as you like
I
it.
gotta go fast. I gotta get energy out. You know what I mean?
But if you want to be specific like them, being a true fan, being able to sing the album start till the end, is another good sign, which I can definitely do with a few of their albums. Start to finish.
System of a Down and maybe Marilyn Manson from my picks. But having these guests on here really educated me, and I feel like I have a better respect for the
I like that.
community in total.
This was a
But
cool
I
video.
think looking back at the songs, if I had to choose a guest pick, it's probably gonna be the Metallica song from Benny. And if I have to choose an audience pick, it's probably going to be the Avenged Sevenfold one. Those are both that I really enjoyed for different reasons. Metallica, because it's a more classic one, and the Avenged Sevenfold.
Not
because
surprised.
It's a little bit simpler, but newer, and I really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I learned a ton. We have a Spotify link in the description below of the music that we covered in this episode, and a few extras in there. Also, tell us what genres you want us to cover next, because we're always taking suggestions, so leave that in the comments. See you next time.
All right. So yeah, that was interesting. It didn't go in the way I thought it did, and it actually was better this way too, in my opinion. Like these guys are all from different styles of metal, from what you can tell right off the bat. You know, Tool coming in as a choice shows that he really got into like that trippy, like Tool. He mentions King Crimson, stuff like that. He probably likes a lot of prog stuff. I say probably. He just named a couple of the big ones, so it's hard to say. But usually if you list like King Crimson, that's a big sign that you're a prog fan right off the bat for me. It's pretty out there. It's pretty old school proggy, and it's not really something that like your typical just straight up rock fan gets into, except maybe, 21st Century Schizoid Man, maybe, which is a great song. Personally, I really like the album Red. From King Crimson. But then you had I can't remember all their names right now, but a buddy who had picked Am I Evil. He seemed to have a lot of knowledge in metal though. He was really well spoken about what he was explaining to her about the music, and he had that background knowledge. And he kind of reminded me of myself a little bit, the way he's talking. Like he's like, oh, I have all this information. I feel like I can be the same way when I meet someone. I'm trying to explain metal to them or try to get them into it. I love giving a complex explanation, because I feel like someone who, like her, like I know she likes pop music and hits and stuff like that. I've seen her on other reaction videos. She doesn't really listen to rock and heavy metal super a lot. You can tell like she's only scratched the surface a bit. That they can be very comprehensive listening to metal because of the stigma that kind of comes with it. So I find a lot of explanation and added things to it kind of ease it a little bit more in, so you're not as it's not as jarring, I guess you could say. And then the last guy picked Beartooth, which is a surprise for me. I know Beartooth. I'm surprised he picked it, because they're not the biggest band in the world or anything like that. Like usually they're not even a headliner when they're playing with pretty much. Well, it's like he said, he named all those other bands that were playing before them. Like they play behind those guys, like A Day to Remember and all that. They're usually behind them on the list that it shows, right? So it was interesting to see that being his choice. And you could tell he's more into like the hardcore side, maybe like metalcore and stuff like that. So she got a good mixture from the three, which is great because you get to see those different elements. And I'm curious if they actually chose them because of that fact, and maybe there's others that also liked metal and rock that would have actually chose something else. But that was it. It ended up playing out very well, and she got to get a good, well-rounded sound of. And it's almost, it's almost like a history lesson on metal to a certain degree, because we went through almost every generation there to a certain degree. Because you could definitely put Tool in the 90s section for sure. We had like Avenged Sevenfold in there, stuff. That's like 2000s. Beartooth would be 2010s and up, basically. Then you had like 1980s. You had Led Zeppelin in there in 1970s. You're covering everything, so... bringing up Blue Cheer and stuff like that. Blue Cheer is, if you watch Metal Headbanger's journey, they talk about how that could be considered before, Black Sabbath. That could have even been the first element of heavy metal to come in, but that's debatable and depending on who you talk to, basically. But I can agree with it to a certain degree. So she really got a good, well-rounded view of it, and I just found it was cool. It's just like you guys, you guys get to watch me react to stuff all the time. I love watching reactors too. It's a cool video for me as well to be able to see the reactors checking out stuff with you guys, and instead of usually just me just sitting here off camera watching them in my spare time. So this is a fun one. I think she actually did learn some stuff today, and might even check out some new bands because of that, hopefully. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed checking this one out with me. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to see more from me. I'm also on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. And as always, you guys have a good one. I'll catch you later.